It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is some early Bon Jovi from the self-titled release. That one going out to Demon. Shot Through the Heart. And Kendall, we're going to talk about somebody who was shot through the cunt.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
It's not unusual here.
Yeah, so Demon sent over this story. She requested that song, sent over this story. She thought that was a good lead-in. A woman dies after being shot in the vagina while using a gun during foreplay.
Okay. I'm not.
You're at a loss for words?
Yeah, I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah, so obviously this is not something you engage in. This is not a practice that you engage in, is using a gun for foreplay.
No, but at least she's pro Second Amendment.
Yeah, well, that's the positive part.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all about the big guns.
Yep.
Paloma Williams and her boyfriend rubbed the gun over one another for foreplay. A man claims his girlfriend died when he accidentally shot her in the vagina during foreplay with a loaded gun. Andrew Charles Sinault, 23, told investigators Paloma Williams, 24, was using the pistol for sexual gratification and arousal at his home in Valrico. What state do you think this happened in, Kendall?
Is it Florida?
It would be Florida. Ding, ding, ding.
I thought best guess I could give.
He said that he was on the edge of the bed when Paloma between his legs when the apparent accident happened 2 weeks after they started dating. 2 weeks? After they were already into gun foreplay 2 weeks into dating. They both rubbed his 9mm Taurus pistol over one another before he says he accidentally pulled the trigger.
I just don't see why it had to be loaded to get the job done.
Yeah, I agree. It just adds to the excitement and the danger. You know, this could go off at any second, right?
Yeah, just like those AIDS parties.
He screamed for his parents to come up. His parents? He screamed for his parents to come upstairs to help him and was later arrested for manslaughter. He's banging this chick out in his parents' house. Mom, Dad, I just shot my girlfriend in the twat.
Well, he's good at making poor decisions, so I think that would lead to him living at his parents' house.
Right. Now,
yeah.
I couldn't even imagine doing something like this, especially living at home. Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. I'm just taking my new girlfriend of 2 weeks up to my bedroom. I'm going to bang her out. Oh, by the way, we're into gunplay, so if you hear anything weird going on, don't think anything of it.
No. Yeah, I'm glad there are no guns in this house because there might be a lot of that going on between my brother and my sister. So, we're gun-free here.
That didn't sound right, Kendall.
My brother and his significant other and my sister and her significant other.
You had me confused there for just a second. I was just like, there would be a lot of that going on between your brother and sister? What? What are you trying to tell me here?
If, yeah, no. Let's just say the house is always full.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your brother and sister bring their significant others home?
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's like, like Modern Family. We could have a sitcom here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sinault admitted that they were both under the influence of drugs, having taken meth 2 hours before the shooting. Paloma died after the gun allegedly went off while inside her during foreplay. Can you imagine this, Kendall? Oh, yeah, baby, I'm going to fuck you with my gun. How do you... It's loaded.
I can't imagine. I never tried to imagine it. I mean, now I'm imagining it just because I have a creative mind.
Yeah.
the picture in the chat room is kind of what I was thinking. By a demon.
Oh my. Yeah, there you go. God damn. All right. Paloma is said to also had been on fentanyl, a powerful opioid. Was she on Flacca too?
If she's in Florida, it's probably 100% chance.
Yeah. However, police say they have suspicions about his version of the events because it's hard to accidentally trigger the pistol he allegedly to have used. During a police search, detectives found a hole in a TV which was behind Paloma at the time of the shooting. A police spokesman at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department said Andrew Senault shot a woman while engaging an act of foreplay involving his registered handgun. The woman, who was shot in the upper body, was transported to the Bradenton Regional Hospital, where she later died.
I guess it serves him right.
It serves him right.
That's all I could say. Poor decision making. There's probably a healthier alternative there.
Yeah, you'd think so, huh?
Yeah, like maybe a knife or something.
Okay. All right. So, continuing on here. A police officer can't pull over drivers for giving him the finger, of court rules. Now, do you think that the police have the right to pull you over for a finger gesture?
I don't. First time thinking about it, but instinct is that they don't. And I've often just had the urge. I don't have any disrespect for cops, but it just seems like a fun thing to do, and just to see what would happen. So I've thought about it, and I haven't done it though.
Have you ever flipped anyone off in traffic?
I'm sure I have. I don't remember, a certain time, but I definitely have. I always give people the benefit of the doubt in traffic, thinking that maybe they have some place to be that's a little bit more important than me. I also think of Louis C.K.'s bit on wishing death upon someone just for going in their lane a couple 2 inches. Like, as he said, if you were in the elevator and someone actually bumped into you, you wouldn't be like, "Go fucking die." So I just think, like, just because we're in a vehicle right now, I don't have to be so road rage full, but I do get it too, though.
Yeah. I don't envision you being a reactionary person as far as being like, being a hothead per se. You seem a little more chill than that. Are you hot tempered at all?
At times. I'd say most of the road rage that I do perform, it's only a something that I learned from my dad in terms of, it just seems like what you do, because he's the one who taught me how to drive when I was 16, getting a license. So it's like, it makes sense if, as he would do, if someone cuts you off, you fucking ride their ass, because, they're not going fast when they're cutting you off. So you just ride their ass. You let them know you didn't need to do that. Now I'm going to ride your ass. And that's basically all I do.
Okay. And what if they brake checked you?
Oh, they don't, because I'm very fast now. I've never gotten in any sort of car incident, accident. I've never even gotten pulled over in the 8 years I've been driving, so I think I'm good. I'm a very observant driver, the opposite of your usual host.
Sure.
Yeah.
If you've ever been tempted to make a rude gesture at a police officer, you can rest assured that the Constitution protects your right to do so a federal appeal court said. In a sequence of events described by the court, a woman in Michigan, Deborah Cruz, was pulled over in 2017 for speeding. The officer showed leniency, writing her up for a lesser violation known as a non-moving violation. As she drove away, apparently insufficiently appreciative of the officer's gesture, Cruz made a certain gesture of her own, or as the court put it, she made an all too familiar gesture at the officer with her hand and without 4 of her fingers showing. In other words, she was flipping him the bird.
Well, if she just showed him 3 fingers, like the OK sign, she would have, been put away for a hate crime. So I think she, she made out there.
Menard was not amused. He pulled her over again, rewrote the ticket for speeding. Cruz argued she had a First Amendment right to wiggle whatever finger she wanted at the police. In a ruling this week, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit Court agreed fits of rudeness or lack of gratitude may violate the golden rule, the judge said to a 3-0 panel, but that does not make them illegal or, for that matter, punishable. And once the first stop ended, Menard needed a legitimate reason to pull the driver over again. Detaining her without one constituted an unreasonable seizure in a violation of the Fourth Amendment, the court said. Cruz did not break any law that justified the second stop, and at most was exercising her free speech rights. It is well settled that what Cruz did is protected by the Constitution, the court said. Any reasonable officer would know that a citizen who raises her middle finger engages in free speech protected by the First Amendment. Menard apologized. Menard analogized his actions to the prosecutor who might renege on the plea deal if the defendant behaved offensively. But the court wasn't swayed. The facts here were more like a judge who hauls a defendant back into the court a week or 2 after imposing a sentence based on the defendant's after-the-fact speech. Menard, in short, clearly had no proper bias for seizing Cruz a second time. The court's ruling means Cruz's lawsuit can proceed in a lower court. So she drove off, flipped the guy the bird. He pulled her back over and said, "Oh, yeah? Well, I'm going to give you a ticket for speeding this time, or I'm going to give you the original ticket I was going to give you since you had to be such an asshole about it."
Yeah, I guess that's a abuse of power, but I also wonder if if she just protected for the under the First Amendment because she's in her car. Like, I know there's cops stationed at the convenience store next to me. It's like, if you're not in a car, if you just walk up to a cop and flip them off, I wonder how that will go. But yeah, abuse of power on the cop's part.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for me to get this passionate about it because, like, I know my siblings kind of have, bad ideas about the cops. Like, they just don't like them because they've actually ran into them. But for me, I can't say that I do. It's hard for me to, be pissed off about, like, abuse of power. Yeah.
So what kind of infractions have your siblings made to where they've drawn the attention of the police?
Mostly doing stupid shit like driving the back mountains while blazing up. So like cops pull them over in that situation. And I think there's actually, I mean, I don't know the story that well, but they were up in the mountains, and a group of them with my brother pretty much were fleeing from a neighbor. I mean, like someone who lived up there who was chasing them, and the cops got involved because, if I recall, they took a a campaign sign that was on someone's lawn, and they spray painted or painted pussy vultures over it.
So they were they were vandalizing property then.
Yeah, and then they fled. Other than that, it's just like getting caught in the woods with marijuana. Okay. Yeah. And then getting called in for that. And I assume that they've all been pulled over at some point.
So this is the cops' fault because they're acting out.
No, it's not. But they probably have the mindset of fuck the police. I don't. And maybe it takes a bad situation for that to happen. I don't know.
Okay. Well, here's another situation. Since you kind of live in a remote area, you might relate to this, or then again, maybe not. Maybe you have some thoughts on this. Hundreds of swingers party at Europe's biggest sex festival on a farm that is just 200 yards away from a village scout camp.
Well, I'm out in the country here, but I haven't gone too far to, stumble into any kind of thing like that. So I guess I need more information.
All right. A secret swingers festival that attracts up to 700 revelers and features hot wives, bulls, unicorns, and jelly wrestling has raised eyebrows in a sleepy village in an area of outstanding natural beauty. Swingfields, which describes itself as the UK's only swingers festival, has set up covertly on a farmland near the hamlet of Upper Welland, 2 miles from the famous spa town of Melbourne in a beautiful Worcester countryside. The site is just 200 yards away from a scout camp with just a single track road separating the children from the adult-themed event. Festival goers have paid up to $450 for a 3-day pass, which includes a luxury bell tent with 2 beds, heating, and solar-powered lighting. More than 70 cars and campers, vans beat a path to the event in the first few hours of the opening on Thursday. At one point, they were queuing to get the swingers from across the land made their way to the West Country.
And what state is this in again?
This is over in England. This is a town in England.
Okay.
In the welcome tent, revelers were issued a color-coded wristband indicating to other guests what they are up for. Guidance on the Swingfields website hopefully indicates what may be an offer to the partygoers. Hot wives are married women who enjoy casual sex with other men, while bareback refers to having sex without a condom, which is generally frowned upon according to the Swingfields. Bulls are well-endowed men, married or single, looking for sex, while unicorns are so called because they are single women and so rare in the swinging scene that few people have ever seen one.
Yeah, well, I'll say I'm a conservative person, so I think swingers are sick fucks, and I do have an example of, I do have some knowledge of swingers. This is going to require me to call out a CMS fan in the chat room.
Okay.
Nathan from Kentucky, who I appreciate what he does on Twitter with Rat Lives Matter, but I do follow his personal account as well.
Okay.
And just because of the Twitter algorithms, you don't necessarily have to see what they tweet, but what they reply to. And I'll tell you what, I don't know why, but through my Twitter feed, I get the Kentucky Swingers posts. Like, I'm scrolling through, I'm like at a concert with my grandma, and I'm just trying to scroll through Twitter, seeing what President Trump has to offer, his kind of wise words. And then all of a sudden, wife tits 5329 pops up. I'm like, fuck, Nathan from Kentucky, what the hell's going on? There's other people I follow there on Twitter, and then that chat room porn comes through. But it catches me off guard when I'm not in the chat room and when I'm on Twitter. So the swingers, they're looking to do too much. They're, more of like, as I said, conservative, marriage, everything like that. I don't want to deal with the swingers.
Yeah. It's not quite Upper Welland, is it? Said Marjorie Stapleton, 87, who lives less than a mile from the festival site. We are entirely comfortable with our burgeoning reputation as a host to these commercialized, lewd, and sleazy events in our green and pleasant countryside. This is the second year that the Swing Fields has chosen Melbourne, which is famous for its stunning landscape, as the birthplace of England's greatest composer, Edward Elgar, as well as the home of C.S. Lewis and the author of the Chronicles of Narnia. Today, luxury homes peek out from the wooded slopes of Melbourne Hills, only 5 miles away in a village of Ludbury, in a sprawling $6 million mansion that actress Elizabeth Hurley, 54, bought with former lover and ex-Australian cricketer Shane Warne, 49. Now, locals are concerned with the well-heeled area may gain quite a different reputation. By the mid-afternoon, rainbow flags, one depicting a giant sperm and another one declaring the playground, were fluttering against the backdrop of Melbourne Hills. It is slightly embarrassing, and in just 1 year, we have begun to get a reputation, added Mrs. Stapleton, who first heard about swinging last year when she was watching a Louis Theroux documentary. It's unappealing, concluding Mrs. Stapleton. They are not young people. They are middle-aged with big tummies. She must have been checking it out, huh?
Yeah.
It was slightly dreadful, and there is something a bit frightening about it. It is the covert way that they go about it. I don't like the secrecy. Revelers at the festival are allowed to go natural, but they are encouraged to remain covered from the waist down at the festival's main event area out of respect for the catering staff. From early evening, ladies often strip to their underwear and lounge around the campfire in their lingerie. Guests are encouraged to be fun and social and warned, if you sit and wait, then little will happen. What might happen if you play your cards right is a full swap, where a couple swap partners for intercourse, a soft swap, which is when a husband or a wife has oral sex with someone else's partner, or same room where couples have sex in front of each other. Wow, this is quite an event.
Yeah, sounds like an orgy.
An orgy?
Yeah.
Some people may just want to watch. However, while voyeurism inside the festivals are encouraged to get an eyeful, the organizers don't want prying eyes from the outside. In fact, they are so concerned about keeping their site secret that there appear to be no signs to the event, which is wedged between a small wood and a natural reserve, just a string of rainbow-colored flags indicating the entrance. Revelers were only emailed the location of the event on Tuesday, 48 hours before the doors were due to open. Neighbors who live nearby and those who use the local network of public footpaths and bridleways say they were obstructed by site security last year and are not pleasant to see. They are not pleased to see the festival return. Shirley England, 58, who has lived in the area for 9 years, walks her dogs 3 times a day on the land, but last year she said she was confronted by the site security. They came over in a van with dogs barking their heads off, said Mrs. England. They came screaming up like something out of the Dukes of Hazzard. They know about the Dukes of Hazzard in England?
Yeah, I mean, we know everything about them, so, and their old-ass culture. So apparently that's old for us. We're not allowed to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, because that racist Confederate flag.
Yeah.
If swinging is what they are into, that's fine, but don't have security guards stopping us. When Mail Online visited the site, they were escorted by security guards and 4x4s, but allowed to take photographs and otherwise unimpeded. For those locals in the know, the festival has been dubbed the Fuck Fest, but the organizers insist that the Springfields is not a sex event. It's not a sex event.
No, it's a fuck fest. You gotta get those straight.
This festival is to provide a safe, private event. The organizer's website states, "We don't provide any sexual services. We provide the event that guests want, that is music, facilities, entertainment, comedy, food, bars, and a fully licensed by the local police and the council." Speaking to Mail Online, organizers said local people were not impeded. Security is there to show people where to go. That is all. It's free access. And she insisted the festival is no different to the Glassbury or a hotel where people meet and mingle and have sex, she said. The event is not covert. It's not what people think it is. We have moved on from the keys in a bowl. It's about socializing. It's about like-minded people getting together. If you don't have chemistry or a connection, nothing is going to happen. It's not secretive. We try our best to block everything out from the public view. There is nothing anyone can see that would upset or hurt them. Len Stevens, 86, and his wife, Jean, 78, have been married for 61 years, and they've lived in the area for 35 years. But they are not convinced. I don't think it should be here, really. Who uses his classic? He uses his classic tractor to tow children on trailers to raise money for cancer research at charity events. Does Melbourne need this? If you allow it once a year, it could escalate and come again. Interesting choice of words.
Yeah.
Asked about what goes on at the festival, Mrs. Stevens replied, "I would rather not know."
I don't want to know either. But unfortunately, I do. Kind of get the feeling.
So it's a feeling. There's no proof of it. I take it that doesn't happen in Pittston or Scranton or Wilkes-Barre.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it happens everywhere. Because I think most people, well, not most people, there's always some. I think it's happening. I've heard a while ago that the indicator of that is a pineapple. Like if you see some couple with a pineapple flag outside their house, that means they're swingers.
Is that what that means?
I mean, it's what I've heard.
So do you just go up and do you just walk up and knock on the door and said, "Saw your flag out here. I'm ready to get it on"?
Well, I could test that. Theory. But instead of knocking at the door and asking them that, I could just knock at the door and find out. And if they say yes, I could say, "You sick son of a bitch, get out of my neighborhood."
Is that how that works? Are you gonna walk up there packing heat, or are you just gonna be brave just to walk up to the door and say, "What the fuck are you guys doing here in my neighborhood? Get the hell out of here"?
I'm not gonna bring any weapon. I don't need anything to happen in that situation. But yeah, I'll just say, "Yeah, you guys are some fuckies."
So you don't want that in your neighborhood then, Kendall?
I mean, ideally, no, but, this is America. We got, freedom to do that. I'm always looking on both sides of the aisle, Yeah.
Both sides of the issue, whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah, many issues, it's like, as an American standpoint, I stand with freedom, but personally and morally, I'm against it.
All right, fair enough. Well, let's see what you think about this.
Okay.
Bikini baristas are forced to cover up after a court rules in favor of a Washington city's crackdown on servers donning pasties and G-strings as they argue it empowers women. So these
Yes, it does.
these baristas are serving their Starbucks or their coffee in bikinis, and they said, you gotta kind of cover that shit up.
I mean, coffee's hot, and I worked in a chocolate factory once.
Okay.
My gay ass boss, who pissed me off, he was actually gay, so this might be hateful what I'm about to say. He gave me a hard time one time because I was wearing shorts. Now I was in high school at the time. These were school appropriate shorts. We had a dress code, so they were down to the knees, and he pissed me off. He gave me a hard time. I couldn't even wear shorts in there. We're working with hot substances. But since he was gay, I noticed, I mean, it could be because he was gay, it could not be. But when a guy wore shorts in the chocolate factory, didn't hear a word out of him. I think he enjoyed it. So, if we're talking about health standards and safety, maybe they should cover up if I had to.
All right. Well, this was not Willy Wonka's gay chocolate factory, was it?
No, but it was close to it.
So your boss's name wasn't Willy Wanker?
No.
No.
It was like Neil or something.
Neil and Bob?
No.
Wasn't that either?
No.
Okay. Scantily clad bikini baristas in Everett, Washington will have to cover up more of themselves after a federal appeals court on Wednesday freed the city to enforce a dress code requiring that they clothe minimum body areas when serving coffee to customers. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Seattle ruled 3-0 against the owners and 5 baristas at a Hillbilly Hotties, a chain of drive-up coffee stands, by lifting a lower court injunction against the dress code and a related ordinance that expanded Everett's definition of lewd conduct. Lawyers of the plaintiffs did not immediately respond to requests for comment. A lawyer for Everett had no immediate comment. Everett's dress code requires workers at a quick-serve retailer, including the coffee stands, delis, fast food restaurants, and food trucks, to cover their breasts or pectorals, backs, torsos, buttocks, upper legs, and pubic areas while on the job.
I mean, I think we could all agree on pubic areas in the food industry. It doesn't seem like it's a good business model anyway. Like, when I think of people getting coffee, I think they just want to get their shit and get out. I don't think there's time to... I don't even, like, do people even make eye contact with people in the like the worker in Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru? They don't even want to get their change. They're just like, keep it, and then they're out. So,
well, maybe they figure it's a way to, draw more customers in, to come in and say, hey, check out our baristas. They're scantily clad. It's like, well, I don't normally drink coffee, but I'll come in there and have some coffee just to check out this chick.
I guess, but I thought the business model would just be have a good cup of coffee.
You're too practical, Kendall.
Yeah.
So would you wear a bikini at the bar you work at?
No.
No,
I wouldn't.
You would not do that.
No, I'm good.
Even if it increased your tips by 50%.
No. If I'm being honest, no, I wouldn't.
No? Okay.
No.
So you have integrity.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I guess yeah.
All right. The city said that the code and lewd conduct laws, both adopted in 2017, were needed to combat the dangerous and unlawful conduct allegedly inherent to bikini barista stands, including prostitution, flashing, public masturbation, and sexual violence.
I guess if there's going to be violence, it might as well be sexual, though.
Right.
Yeah.
public masturbation. Now, who do you think that they're targeting there? Is this the baristas that are, fingering their vag, or is this guys getting so hot and horny they can't control themselves, so they just whip it out and start spanking it right there?
Geez, well, I can't imagine they'd have the baristas would have time for that. I'm gonna guess it's the male clientele coming in there. They'll do it at gyms, they'll do it at coffee places, they'll do it at work.
Sure.
They'll do it anywhere.
Yeah, well, let's ask Chris.
Yeah.
Bikini barista stands have operated for about a decade in and around Everett, a city of roughly 111,000 people located 28 miles north of Seattle. Hillbilly Hotties has been around for 9 years. In Wednesday's decision, Circuit Judge Morgan Christian said Hillbilly Hotties owner and baristas were unlikely to show that serving coffee in a bikini was constitutionally protected speech under the First Amendment, while the baristas called their dearth of clothing a means to demonstrate their female empowerment, confidence, and fearless body acceptance. Christian said customers might not view it that way, in part because the baristas solicited tips. Context is everything, the judge wrote. The barista's act of wearing pasties and G-strings in close proximity to paying customers creates a high likelihood that the message sent by the barista's nearly non-existent outfits vastly diverges from those described in the plaintiff's declaration. The judge said that their attire is significantly more revealing than a typical bikini.
I don't see how that. It's like, why couldn't you draw the line at bikini? And they probably could have had something going there. I don't. Is it just like tassels or something? Are they stirring it with the coffee with their nipple tassels, or what's happening?
Well, they basically aren't wearing a top at all, and they're just wearing like pasties over their nipples. Okay. Not my kind of place. I don't know who's. Yeah, I don't know. Barack Obama appointed Christian, who also said the plaintiffs were unlikely to show that the lewd conduct law was unconstitutionally vague. A person of ordinary intelligence reading the ordinance in its entirety will be adequately informed about what the body areas cannot be exposed or displayed. Fellow Obama appointee and U.S. Judge Jennifer Cho Groves and President George Bush's appointed Ninth Circuit Court Sandra Ikuta agreed. Wow, why don't these people have like normal names?
Because they were picked by Obama. he was looking for, the cultural names.
Okay.
Cultured names.
All right.
Smiths.
Christian said that the lower court judge, U.S. District Judge Marsha Peachman in Seattle, abused her discretion in concluding otherwise. The appeals court returned the case to Peachman for further proceedings. Peachman, in December of 2017, extended an injunction that prevented the city from enforcing the laws, while the lawsuit filed by the baristas and the owner of the coffee stands made its way through the court. At the time, plaintiff Giovanna Edge, who runs 5 Hillbilly Hottie stands, includes 2 in Everett, said, "This is just another step in the progress of women's rights." Do you believe this is women's rights, Kendall, as a woman, hey, I should be able to go naked if I want to, and nobody should say a goddamn thing to me?
I don't think it's progressing women's rights. I'd like to take it back to the olden days when we were more, we weren't as out there. Like, I think of like political commentators like Gavin McInnes, who makes the he says that women doing this, showing their tits and everything, is only hurting the cause of feminism because men don't respect them anymore. They could just go anywhere and get that and see that, and it in the long run it hurts women because we're not as, it's kind of hard to say, not as hard to get in terms of marriage and everything, and like it's ruining the sanctity of marriage by these feminists being whores. Yeah.
All right. The September 2017 lawsuit said, just like Starbucks with the green aprons, UPS with the brown trucks and outfits, and Hooters with a short orange shorts, the barista's attire evokes a message at work, the lawsuit says, adding that such messages include freedom, empowerment, openness and acceptance, approachability, vulnerability, and individuality. Edge complained that her employees were threatened to quit after the law was introduced. Edge also offered to let the law enforcement monitor her surveillance cameras. The lawsuit continued, the length of a common woman's shirt is often short enough that stretching or bending would reveal part of her back or her stomach. To properly enforce the citywide ordinance, the police officer must determine the location of the top of a woman's areola, which can only be seen by exposing the breast. This would subject women to humiliating and offensive searches. Everett and Snohomish County, north of Seattle, had a troubled history with the shops, which in some cases have operated as drive-through strip clubs or brothels. A former Snohomish County Sheriff's Sergeant pleaded guilty to helping launder money from a prostitution operation run out of the same roadside stands and was sentenced to 1 year in jail. The city cited a number of sex offenses to bikini baristas stands while adopting the measures. The proprietor of another chain, the Grab and Go Espresso Hut, Grab and Go,
just grabbing. It's either it must be grabbing the coffee and grabbing the pussy,
I guess.
Oh.
Was convicted of sexual exploitation of a minor after he employed a 16-year-old girl at his stands. Prosecutor said the business model relied on the baristas performing lewd shows. So
maybe they're making the coffee the wrong way, you know.
So you go over there to get your coffee, but basically you get a little striptease action while you get your coffee.
Well, if there's a market for it, there you go. It's all good.
It's all good. Well, apparently the court says that's not all good.
Yeah. Can't help it.
Right. All right, Kendall, we've already blown through another hour.
Can't believe it. Just goes by so fast.
It does go by quick. So, would you like to hear something in particular?
If you don't have something in mind, I'll put in a song.
Okay, what would you like to hear?
Okay. You guys were talking about April Wine before.
Okay.
And I saw a lot of praise for it in the chat room, and I've gotten into them more recently. So to promote that Canadian country bash or whatever the hell that is, how about April Wine?
Okay.
And a track I like, Enough Is Enough, or you could do like All Over Town is a heavier, rockier one. So we'll do All Over Town.
Okay. Well, we'll give some of our Canadian friends to the north there a little love.
Yeah. And
after all these years, it's surprising that April Wine is still out there alive and kicking after all these years. So they've been around a long time. I don't even know who's in the band anymore. But
I don't.
But they did have their popularity mostly in the 80s. And all right, well, we'll check this out. You said All Over Town?
Yeah.
All right. Let's play this tune. So let's play some April Wine All Over Town exclusively here
on your classic metal show.